30 acres. And I'm dying to see how accurate it is. They just took a drone and just flew it. I mean, the amount of money saved. Gentlemen.
I see it.
What's that?
Oh, we're gonna dump out of that. Even the resin.
What? Oh, put it back up here. Let's put it back up.
Oh, goodness. Fine, it's fine, Mike, you can stay there.
That's already picked up.
Well, it's in the building.
Trying to put a hole in, trying not to put a hole in this unit.
No holes in. There.
Come on, you can call to order, if I can introduce the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverb on that? Yeah.
Again, welcome to our business meeting for Monday, October 16th. Chair comments, we met in executive session before this meeting, discuss personnel and litigation. Next item would be action items. Is there a motion reference to minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, as presented.
September 25th and October 2nd?
Yes, both.
Is there
Sorry.
a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion or amendments necessary?
No.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item is a motion to consider the schedule of bills. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Next, the bills in the amount of $316,110.95. There's a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion on those? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion to consider the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
There's a second.
I will second that.
Is there any discussion?
It's a motion to approve, correct?
Yes. I assume that's a motion to approve.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Right, and this is in reference to a development that's off of Township Line Road and Walter Road.
Walter.
It's Lowen subdivision.
Low
Low
end
end.
subdivision.
So,
All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next time will be a motion to consider the 2024 road program bid.
So, or I make a motion to approve the awarding of the 2024 road program.
There's a
Bid.
second.
Second that.
Any discussion on that?
I'm just going to clarify that we are not, we are just approving the, for the board's costs, the eligible cost of $259,799.97, not any of the curbs.
If I may elaborate, Cynthia, you're not
Yeah.
approving any costs. We don't have any costs. We just bid it and then the board will have the opportunity to approve the costs at that time. This is approving those roadways that are listed in it, those costs are general estimates based off of numbers we've received in the past. This is just so that, as we discussed with the board wants us to get on a better timetable for our bids for this. So that we can get better pricing for it by bidding it in January. Also, to make the board aware, and I believe the board's been forwarded, we have sent 2 notification letters, one in July and one in August. To all the residents that live on this road with updated numbers on any deficiencies they have in curbs, sidewalks. Things like that, and they've been instructed to contact Ryan Preston, our public works superintendent, to meet them out there to discuss.
Okay, a follow-up question. Since if we would be doing it so earlier, do you do a consortium bid at all for roadworks and things? Or it's really just an individual townships?
Yeah, when it comes to roads, it's
Yeah.
generally individual townships.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
John, did you have something else to add or?
All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Our motion to consider the award of the 1606 Upper State Road and the Chamonix Greenway Trail bid.
I make a motion to award the base bid and all the alternatives to A.H. Cornell and Son, 1606 Upper State Road and Chamonix Greenway Trail bid per the attachments.
Second.
This will be the final section of this Green Road Trail to allow us to connect to the other trails that are in the area. Are there any questions? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, I have a motion to consider authorizing the township solicitor to close inactive legal and engineering escrow accounts. Is there a motion
I make that motion
to approve?
to approve.
Is there a second?
My second.
These are the old inactive legal engineering accounts from many years ago. Any other questions?
Would the solicitor like to expand on that at all?
I'd be happy to. There are
in discussions with Mr. Granger, there are escrow and legal accounts dating back to, I believe, the late eighties, early nineties. That are still held by the township. What we'll do is, in order to make sure we can deal with that money one way or another, we have to use the township's best efforts to contact the individuals who put that money forward in hopes to try and refund as much of that money as possible to those who posted it. So we'll make sure that we do our due diligence there and contact, or do everything we can to contact the people who posted that money to try and return it to them. And anything that can't be returned will be dealt with according to Pennsylvania law.
Any other questions? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion to consider appointments to the Environmental Advisory Commission. We have 5 people to be appointed at this point. So. A motion,
I would like to make a motion to appoint Margaret Briggs to the Environmental Advisory Committee for a 3-year term.
I'll second that motion.
any further discussion on that?
Are we doing these all individually, I suppose?
I guess we're gonna have to, really.
Okay.
Just because of the terms and the way the committee's starting. We have to do 1 3-year, 1 2-year, or
One-
2 2-year and 2 1.
1 3-year, 2 2-years, and 2 1-years.
Thing.
That's what the ordinance calls for.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Margaret Briggs for a 3-year term. All those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have the next motion,
I would like to make a motion to appoint Kathleen Davis to the advisory committee for a 2-year term.
I second that motion.
we have a motion and a second for Kathleen Davis. All those in favor of Kathleen Davis signify by saying aye.
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 I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kathleen Dutil to a 2-year term.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
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 I would like to make a motion to appoint Brooke
Newborn.
Newborn to the Environmental Advisory Council
We have a second,
I'll second.
That'd be for a 1-year term,
For a 1-year
That's
term.
all that's left, right?
but it
Mhm.
just so the minutes.
I'm sorry, for 1 year, yes.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jamie Walker to a 1-year term.
I second.
motion and a second. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
I'd like some discussion on that, please.
I'm going to read my thing because it's going to actually quote some parts of our EAC. I'm going to have a question for my fellow board members regarding the appointment of Ms. Walker. The duties stipulated in our EAC ordinance clearly require knowledge and experience in environmental issues. For example, the ordinance states the council shall identify environmental problems and recommend plans and programs for the promotion and conservation of natural resources in the New Britain Township and for the protection and improvement of the quality of the environment within New Britain Township. Also, the council shall make recommendations as to the possible use of open land areas of New Britain Township. Ms. Walker stated in her public interview with us that she does not have experience working on environmental issues, nor does she have any area of environmental expertise. So my question is, can you please clarify for our citizens the logic behind this choice of appointment?
I can respond. I mean, I think that there is a need to have a balance of viewpoints on this environmental advisory committee. I think we are appointing a lot of people with a lot of great experience. But I think that we also need to appoint people who are citizens with maybe not environmental expertise, but concerns about the way about which regulations are imposed. And just someone else to present viewpoints from someone who is not solely focused on, or I don't want to say solely focused, who's not, doesn't have a background in environmental issues. I think that it's a committee that is made up of our diverse residents, and having those different differing viewpoints is important.
Well, I'm just gonna say that I'm unaware that the EAC would have any authority to make any regulations.
No, they'd be making recommendations.
They're advisory only, they'd be
Correct.
making recommendations. My comments, since we're not going there, is that when I first asked that we reinstate this committee going back 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, it was for the purpose, as I stated in many meetings, of applying for grants for free money to do projects in this township. The key there is that we need a grant writer. And we have an excellent candidate who is a landscape architect, who works with open lands, and who is experienced with both the players in that field and who has experience in writing grants. Yet we're ignoring her in favor of someone whose own application starts off with talking about her shore house. She has no volunteer, she's no community experience whatsoever in this community. We spent 6 months asking for volunteers to work with the Fall Fest and the 300th committee. She didn't step forward. She has no experience and she has no desire to participate, shown by the fact that she couldn't even show up for an interview 3 different times. And she made an appointment to show up on a day she claimed she was unavailable to show up. I am going to state that this is a purely political consideration. It's not going to benefit the residents of this township.
Anybody else?
Are you taking public comment on the appointment?
I guess we can, we have a motion and a second.
Yes. Can you hear okay, Brooke?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
What would happen if other members of the council do not wish to work with her? Or if some were even to want to? And if I'm putting forth a hypothetical, I'm not saying I'm definitely doing this, but if someone had issues with her to the point where they wanted to resign, or if you ran out of members because of not just her lack of experience and her seeming indifference, but also because her political views aren't just different, but are also extremist in many ways. And again, someone can correct me if I've had misinformation. I would appreciate being corrected, but I've been informed that she's a member of the Moms for Liberty, which is a group that has been flagged as an extremist group by numerous civil rights organizations as being against the LGBT community, as being anti-Muslim, as being against transgenders, against anybody who doesn't fit within their very narrow point of view, who's wanted to remove materials from schools. If it's by African American authors, if it's by genderqueer authors, anybody who's not within their very narrow viewpoint. And while you don't have to have those materials, say, in your home, I have issues with people who are so full of hate that they do not wish to be around so many other Americans, and Americans should be about and civil service should be about embracing liberty for everyone. So if somebody who hates so many other Americans, are they really patriotic, and should they be the type of person that's being put forth by this township as a representative of its ideals?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would follow up with, I just thought of it as I was thinking of Stephanie's comment. In the past, it has been made pointedly when we make an appointment, that we are making it for, we want someone who's experienced and positively wants to work on a committee, be that for the appointment for the Shalford New Britain Sewer Authority, for the Planning Commission, someone who wants to work for and to advance our public parks and recreation, and still. So I do not understand why we would like to put forward Jamie Walker's name, because she does not have any experience in environmental advisory committees. So to me, if in the past we have wanted well-qualified people on our committees, and this point you're saying you'd like to have an opposition point of view, I find that not in the same frame of mind as what we have done for our past appointments.
I'll make a comment. The only thing that I want to say, and it's kind of related to what you just said, Steph. It should be a nonpartisan committee. That's all. It should be nonpartisan, and I actually want to see people that are willing to do some heavy lifting here. I mean, there's only going to be 5 of us. They're here. Except for her.
Yes,
If I could just follow up on that, first of all, I want to say that I appreciate folks' comments, which took a lot of courage, I think. And I can just second that. And in response or in following up on what Margaret just said, I actually was going to say, after the committee was all formed, I had planned to say, could we have a way of including some other people in addition to the 5? Because EACs actually do a lot of heavy lifting, including physical work. One of the duties listed is to provide or fully index all of the public and private open space in the township and advise on date with regard to the wetlands and swamps and other kinds of sensitive areas. You can't do that through satellite imagery. You have to go and walk them. And I've worked with the ACs all over Bucks County, mainly through the Master Watershed Steward program. And what they do is they plan projects. They do more than what your duties have required. They're the run of the mill EAC. First of all, it's usually at least 7. The state sample is 7. They work on the trails like the ones you're talking about making, not the macadam ones, but the footpaths. They go through, they bushwhack, right? We remove invasives, big ones, those huge burning bushes and honeysuckles. And we saw them down, I'm telling you, and get them out with mattocks, and we plant and we plant and we plant. It's work, and you have to know other people to bring into the fold to get the volunteers. It could be anywhere from 5, 10, sometimes 20 people on any given day coming out to do some of this work. So the people in this EAC have to be willing to be all in and do the work, show up for the meetings, help walk the path, walk the open spaces, walk other areas of the town. I know of several areas just right around where I live. I'm not 100% sure who owns them, but some remediation needs to happen. That's by virtue of the way developments have formed. Water is running down into the stream, bringing in lots of silt. The silt destroys the macroinvertebrates, and up the food chain we go. So there's just so much work that these EACs have to do.
We could consider at some point in the future, not tonight, looking at, what do we call them now? Adjunct members or, huh?
ad hoc or advisory members or whatever.
Well, whatever we call the park and rec people who aren't voting members.
Advisory, is that?
We used to call them junior members.
Yeah.
Right, I think it's just
Yeah.
advisory. now.
In any case, I'm sorry, I know that was long-winded. but I wanted to back up the former statements.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Rosencrantz. I was trying to contemplate whether or not I should say something or not, and I'm kind of wondering why, as my experience is extreme in this, and I'm very wondering why I am not considered for the position. Would mind answering the question?
I can't really answer that for you. I mean, it was up to the board to decide who they wanted.
Okay.
To put their names forward.
I'm just hearing the experience is so important, and as you all know from my application, I have 6 years of experience in land conservation. I'm currently the executive director, but you all know this already, so I just wanted to make that point.
And the grant writer.
Okay, any further discussion? No? We have a motion and a second.
You want to say something?
It's a difficult thing. You know, people talk about how people have different viewpoints, you know, and everyone wants their viewpoint respected. And yet I feel like if this was an individual who didn't have a history, who was coming in and wanted to learn and be accepted and be appointed, if they didn't have that political history, the conversation would be coming from a different direction.
No.
Yes, because
Great.
we had, you,
Let him talk.
let me talk, please. Because we have an immense amount of expertise and we have grant writing from the people that we have appointed. We have lifelong or very long township residents that we've appointed. We have a very wide breadth of experience. Why everyone's so afraid to appoint someone who may have a different perspective and may push back and offer different insights is kind of scary. You know,
Different input
everyone on
on
this
planting a
board,
tree. What different viewpoints? do we have?
there's a lot more, and Craig can attest to this, that EACs get involved in multiple municipalities that he's worked with than just planting a tree. They can help influence policy and direction. And sometimes it's good to have a voice that wants to say, hold on, wait a second. Are we just doing what you want to do, or is this something that's best for the entire township? And, you know, that's what this comes down to. You know, we've appointed 4 very highly qualified individuals who have a wide range of expertise in environmental matters. What we don't have is someone that, you know, is afraid to push back against what everyone else wants. You know, Mary Beth, you've, you know, been a very courageous person to sit up here and always push back against the rest of us.
That's what attorneys do.
Right. So you push back and you make us take a different look at things. You take what the majority says and thinks and you try to give it and shed it in a different light. So I'm not quite so sure what the fear is of giving a 1-year term to someone who may just have a different voice than the other people that are sitting on the board as well have.
I think the fear is people are concerned that they're not going to be able to work together because this person is not known as being a collaborative individual.
And can I just follow that one up with the statement of, would we appoint someone to Park and Rec if we thought that they would be working against Park and Rec to do good works. To me, and in any of our committees and councils are to do good works for the township. If we feel like the person, and it's not a political thing, it's exactly from what she has said in her interview, that she does not want to move on environmental works. So people can have
When
a
did she
different.
say that in her
I don't
interview?
remember that.
She never said she didn't want it. She said she wanted to make sure government didn't overreach.
Yeah, she talked
She
about
made a
government
point.
transparency, which I don't know how to
She
do.
made a point about talking about the wind turbines that they're building off the coast and how it's going to be a visual.
Actually, she didn't mention
She
why.
did mention the wind turbines as part of her talking about,
Wait,
that's what they're
Cynthia
dealing
was
with at
talking.
the
You don't
shore.
Want to be talked over, so let Cynthia
that's
talk.
fine, that's fine. I'm sorry, Cynthia, I apologize.
I did look at her transcript today. She did not say any, she said wind, and then
Okay.
she stopped with why she was involved in.
I
why she was
apologize.
Doing that.
She
So,
didn't mention the turbines specifically.
But anyone that applies for a New Britain Township Committee and their first comment in their application is about their shore house. It is a little off track,
Okay.
but we've said what we said, and this just points up the need to have regulations and procedures and expectations for committee members. And require attendance. If you want to be on a committee, then you need to show up and do the work. You can't just want to be appointed and then never show up and never do anything.
This is a 1-year term, so if it
Okay.
doesn't work, then it doesn't work.
And I have no problem with having junior members or whatever you want to call them to the committee. We have a Park and Rec. As I've stated again and again and again, we need volunteers in this community. We put out a call for volunteers for the Fall Fest, for all of those activities, and we did not hear from many people at all. So when you start to exclude people who are ready, willing, able to work, you discourage further participation. I've said that before, saying it again.
But unless, that only qualifies if they have experience. Of
No, I
someone who
don't-
wants to volunteer with no experience might as well not apply,
No, I mean,
because,
but they should
no,
apply-
that's
They
what you
should
just
apply for something
said.
like Park and Rec where
But if they have no
Putting out-
experience in Park and Rec,
they're putting
why
out
bother?
eggs, they're putting out eggs, or they're dressed up as an elf for Santa House.
Okay.
Okay, but we obviously disagree.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion on it? We have a motion and a second to appoint Jamie Walker for a 1-year term. Being no further discussion, what is the vote? All in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Aye.
Aye.
You won't be hearing any eyes over this side of the table.
I gather there are 2 days, so we have 3 to 2.
well, it's 3-2. You have the votes.
Okay. Well, I certainly hope that Jamie does carry through and say that she wanted to be involved and hope she is involved.
I hope you
Um,
behave yourself.
Now, I will tell you that we will, by these appointments, we have established the Environmental Advisory Commission. Its terms will not start until January 1st. Okay. We still have to appoint a chairman of the BAC. Would anybody like the motion forward for the chairperson?
I would like to make the motion that Kathleen Davis is the chairperson.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
Is that,
I mean, we had to
No.
open a discussion.
no, yeah, no,
Yeah.
is that? I was gonna nominate Margaret, but if that's who you guys want, that's fine.
We can talk. This is the talking thing. So why would you would like to have Margaret?
Oh,
She's
Okay,
Margaret's
well, because
fine.
then if Margaret's decline, I was gonna recommend Margaret because she has she's been involved for a very long time, a
Yes.
history with the township, and
Yep.
I think that it would be befitting in the fact that she's been involved for quite a long time. But if Kathleen, if she wants to
So
defer.
There's more expert than me. I want to take that program this coming year. But
Okay.
So to me, I would like to see this committee work in a slightly different way than some of our other committees. As in, there is a board, there is 5 people, but there is 12,000 residents in our township. I would like to see it more as a 5 people are the base, but it's a greater, open, more involved, two-way street with non-voting members and members. So that would be how I would envision it. It's up to the board to now
Yeah, I mean,
implement it the way they would like it.
right. I just, as chair, it's,
It's a 5-member board, you know how, well, let's officially make Kathleen Davis the chair. Is there-
yeah, I'll make a motion. Oh, yes,
Motion.
they already,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Kathleen, now you're the official chair that starts in January. But I
with
would
a staff
say-
member to be appointed.
But I will emphasize with you that that's the board, 5 members. But you are more than welcome to get anybody who is able-bodied or wants
Interested.
to get
able-bodied,
interested.
Yes.
Ask them to get involved. Yeah, I mean, okay,
And you don't have to wait till January to start talking to people.
We're doing things.
Yes.
Wink, wink, wink. Because we don't want to wait till there's 10 inches of snow on the ground to try and go out and
Yeah, and
survey the grounds.
we don't have a specific staff liaison as of yet for the EAC, is that correct?
That's something we need to discuss.
Correct, so,
Or a
internally.
board liaison. We need to have board and staff.
right, well, the staff is even more important because
Yeah.
they're their lifeline.
Walk through that.
Congratulations.
that will all be decided in the next month or so, who the board liaison and staff liaison is. But if you have any questions, you can always call the manager.
He's looking at Mike.
You think you're going to get off scot-free, did you?
And he'll put you right through to Mike Walsh.
Okay. Nothing else? Take the motion to consider Bucks County Planning Commission Open Space Plan Proposal.
I make that motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
I will ask the one question. We are just gonna go for the 500 responses.
That's
insufficient,
I think.
So what did we
realistically, yeah.
work out that was that,
Point,
what percentage?
That's point, well,
It was over 10% of households.
Yes, then, guaranteed 500 household response.
yes.
hopefully it doesn't take them too long to get those responses,
Yeah,
but
we've done surveys I mean, I wasn't on the board then or anything, but I
We did
remember
Park and
most
Rec- we did-
people,
We did Park and
respond.
Rec survey and I think we
most
got
people
close to-
respond. I remember the trash service survey.
That wasn't. That was just a question on a website.
Yeah,
Well,
is
but we got a
different,
good
yeah.
response. People responded.
okay. So we have a motion and a second to consider the open space plan. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye. Look,
Just, you guys were chatting, you wouldn't let me ask the question. Are we sure we know what the scope of the survey we want is?
I think once, okay, so to me,
Consent.
from the proposal, we have to make an ad hoc committee.
Mm.
People from the board, people from thing, and that's where they
So
will
that's
work.
how we're gonna handle it.
Yes,
Yes,
so
that's-
it's not just, we have to work out
Okay.
on those questions.
You
It's
can
all
leave it up to
about
them,
inputs.
or you can have
So we're
input.
definitely
direction.
running with the survey
But
and
again, if we're gonna
everything,
set up
okay.
a committee, people have to show up and do it because it's
yeah.
gotta get done. The
'Cause there
longer we
was-
wait, the more expensive.
No,
it
I know,
gets.
but there were still a lot of unanswered questions in terms of how big of a scope we wanted to make this. Did we want to just do an open space plan, which is a different than a recreational
That's
use of the open
where the ad hoc
space.
committee comes in.
There's two
That-
parts. The one is the Bucks County Planning Commission is gonna work on the new
Plan.
open space plan.
Right,
This other organization, they're hiring to do the
So-
survey is going to ask general questions, not just on open space, but on park and rec or anything we direct them. to ask
direct
the
them. So I
question.
just want to make sure everyone knows that's what we're doing because when they were here and they made the presentation, it was a little disjointed.
Well, it's joined because we have to determine.
The
We
scope of it.
and
Right.
public have to determine what we want to see on that questionnaire.
Okay.
Yes.
So it'd be
So
too
does,
big
do
to
the residents
consider.
understand what we're talking about? We're going to do an open space plan. Not rewrite because we have a
Update.
very detailed open space plan as it is, but it's gonna be an update. And then we're also on a second path, we're gonna do some kind of a survey of residents. To may or may not see if we should continue to preserve open space, which is a silly question to ask, because we're gonna preserve open space. But then also like to what extent
But
and
what-
how
What
we
do they want
use
to
it,
see?
yeah,
What do you want to
That's,
use?
right, and how we use it if we preserve it. So, does everyone understand? Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Since open space is kind of the center of the mandate to the EAC. Can you tell me what the timeline is and is there any plan that?
So there's a recommendation, sorry,
Months and months
Me.
and months.
there's a recommendation from Bucks County Planning Commission who's gonna be conducting this, that part of the ad hoc committee, I think where you were going with your question is EAC going to have involvement in this? That some members or member of the EAC be part of the ad hoc committee.
Bless you.
Thank you.
We still have to decide who that ad hoc committee is, but that is one of their recommendations, that someone from that committee be part of it.
Perfect, that makes sense.
Everything clear as mud then?
Yep. We got one. She said I should have said that.
Any further questions? We have a motion in a second.
Question?
No. Question, do we need to, in this motion, decide where the funds will be coming from?
Yes,
Yes,
you're allowed to use the open space funds you have to fund a study furthering your open space. Fund.
does it also include the updating of the open space?
Yeah.
Yes, so then we would like to direct that the
Those
funds
funds
come out of our
Open
Open
space.
open
space,
space fund.
fine, correct, okay.
Who made the motion, we're amending the motion to include that.
Yes.
Okay,
And then are you seconding it, Mary Beth?
Yes,
Okay.
I lost track.
I don't remember who had the,
think
I
It was
did, okay,
Cynthia
then
and
I'm,
then
yes,
Mary
I'm accepting the amendment.
Cindy and Stephanie.
Oh, I thought Mary Beth
Okay.
seconded.
We both agreed,
We both,
okay.
Okay, so we have motion and second on the amended. And then we're gonna use open space dollars. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, information items. Township manager's report.
I've been working diligently with staff on the budget to have something by next week, if not sooner, maybe by the end of the week, depends on how things go. You know about the incident today on Ferry Road. That's about the extent of it.
Departmental report, I believe they were in the packet to go over with, please, do you have anything, chief, to go over?
No, board has any questions?
Chief, I do. What are those wonderful signs that are out the front of our township building?
What?
The support of police signs,
the supporter police signs.
we do have them. And they are available at in the police lobby from 8 to 4. We're just asking if people would like to get a donation, but they're not required to.
Okay. Solicitor's report?
All relevant updates from the solicitor's office were given either in the written report which was distributed amongst you earlier today or in executive session this evening.
Okay. Our engineer's report.
It's very quiet tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's okay. Planning commission, looks like we're gonna have a planning commission meeting next Tuesday for two small projects, I think two minor subdivisions. Not much to discuss there. And then the only item for your business meeting in November is we're reviewing the revised plans for High Point. I mentioned before about a major utility conflict. I talked to the developer today. He was just seeing how things are going, and we anticipate putting that right back in front of you for amended final approval. Hopefully there's no issues that my staff finds. I doubt there will be, since we worked with them through that field change, or will be a field change. So hopefully they'll be ready for your second meeting in November, and that's all I have.
No less units with this change?
No, we just they relocated a couple of units, sorry.
Oh.
I did,
What I get-
there was three options, that was my third in the staff meeting, and then they just laughed. I said two units could go away.
Any progress or movement or anything going on with the overlook at Wawa?
No, in fact, I was gonna make a comment, and I already mentioned to John in an email, it's gotten very slow,
I've noticed.
extremely slow.
Prices are.
Now.
Interest rates
And
are so high.
I've had two developers and, well, one through the office, through the engineers, and one directly to me that with another client saying, we're not doing single family homes anymore. The cost dealing with each individual resident, the higher end homes, they expect a lot more. Townhouses, or you're gonna keep seeing townhouses and apartments.
Can you start selling quads to them? Come on,
Mhm.
single
But
level.
if you think
lots.
about one home and what they have to deal with when a single, especially around this area, you have some nice homes being built on larger properties, and the amount of, callbacks versus built, and mainly the cost of materials is what I'm hearing.
Just overall on new projects, my office hasn't received a new professional services agreement from the township since July.
No, it's gonna be slow for a while, I think.
Okay, Board of Supervisor comments?
Okay, I do have two. My first one would be, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge what we have been seeing in this past week. To acknowledge the lives that have been recently lost in the Middle East. I think we are all know people who have been touched by this event, and I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge that. My second one would be, I'd like to thank my fellow supervisor here, Mary Beth, for highlighting the need to be looking at our return rates on some of our different funds and accounts. And in conjunction with our staff and our financial institutions, the township will now be anticipating a very significant increase in the interest incomes over the next year, which will be helpful to our budget lines. So thank you.
I don't really have anything to add other than my deep horror at the situation in Israel. And now the situation that the innocents in Gaza will face due to the terrorists who have chosen to once again attempt to destroy humanity, civilization. And my condolences to Philadelphia police officer who lost his life senselessly and needlessly this week. For people that also have no respect for the value of life.
Mr. Hood?
I mean, I don't have anything. I was gonna say something, but it's rather somber now, so I'm not gonna say anything.
Not to take away from the somberness,
Yeah,
because I'm in agreement with everything that you both just said, but I am looking forward to the 27th. And being out with our residents at New Seasons and the police department at the trunk or treat. I hope people will come out and support that. Chief didn't mention it in his report, but I'm pretty sure they're still participating. It's gonna be there. You didn't in the written report, but I'm pretty sure they're still gonna be there, and looking forward to that and seeing many residents out there for that event.
He likes to keep these things close to the vest. The signs, the trunk or treat,
He's afraid that too many people might come out. and
the
they won't
water
let him walk.
race.
We have to get you to enroll in our crime watch page.
It helps.
You'll get every notification.
Oh, yeah, we get it. Thank you very much.
Doylestown, I don't get ours. I don't know
I
why.
get both,
It's weird.
yeah.
I'll go back,
Subscribe to.
I'll go back and resubscribe. I know I subscribed to it anyway.
So then I was gonna say, does Greg?
Nothing else?
Yeah, I'll go now. Go
Yes.
Phils.
Oh.
I see a couple of people wearing red and blue out there in the
I put-
in the
I put-
audience.
I put them on just tonight, but, Okay.
That's you. That's you.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that red? Okay.
the Phillies.
Oh,
I
there
see
we
the
go.
Phillies.
There we go.
First pitch in about 15 minutes, I think.
Chair.
17 minutes. All right. Is there any public comment?
That was
Serious talking to you.
I promise I'll make this quick. So, Bristol Road Extension, as you know, it's like probably not gonna be built for another 5, 6, 7 years, but.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Keeps getting-
10, 20,
Right.
whatever.
Okay, fine.
The Parkway only took 40 years.
I asked Nathan again about the speed limit out here, because people are starting to complain again, the roadkill's going up, and he basically replied that the township has to submit a study. Is there any way we can put one of those counters out there with the speed limit again and throw them something and ask them to at least evaluate, maybe bringing it down to 40 from 45?
Problem is,
Chief.
if you set up a speed analysis and it comes back with 45 or 50, guess what? They don't make it
Going up.
45 or 50.
So we did do one last year, on Park, or it was the first year of this year, so.
2 years ago.
A little over 2 years ago. And the average speed is 40 miles an hour.
Out here.
Yes. Occasionally you may have, one of the things you gotta remember too is the police department's right here. So we may be going somewhere, the ambulance service is right here, they may be going somewhere.
Takes them a while to get up to speed. That was-
So that's one of the things that we take into consideration when we're looking at the speed studies. But I can look at it again. Right now, the signs aren't.
Those calming things, you know, the thing.
So
that
actually-
tells you how fast you're-
They run them over.
Right, so we have them deployed throughout the township, we have 4 of them. Right now, they're on Schoolhouse in Brittany. You know, we will move them again. But we also have other devices to look at the speed, but as brought up. Some of the roads that we do speed on, the average speed is higher than what's currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm just giving you feedback.
Chief, maybe you can look at setting something up at East Fairwood. Because they've come around that bend off of,
And they
Very
hit the gas.
Ferry. They're coming down here, as you're
Straight
saying,
away.
they're coming out of the borough, which is 35. And they just get into the township and or the EMS and us, and then it's 45. But if you set it up down there at East Fairwood, maybe that would get a better feel for it.
He did. That's where we had it last time.
Yeah, but
because I-
that's where the speed's gonna be higher and then they'll raise the speed limit.
I remember saying to you, I don't think it works, or I'm not, you know, up to speed for it to register, and that's when you explained how you
They
did
only
it.
register when you're actually.
Tables full of numbers.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
as I turn out, I'm only doing like 5 miles an hour, it doesn't register.
Where that farm is, that's where they get-
So do I have that right? If you put it where they typically speed, that will probably lead to the speed limit being increased, or is that?
Yeah.
Speed study would be the final determination.
Right.
The state would come and do it. To the state road.
But it would
But
cause them to
what
look
you're
at
saying is true. If you get it above 45, you better not send them a report in and ask them to change it.
But if Chief said that the average speed was only 40,
40.
would that not mean that we should lower it by 5? If that.
We can't do
people
anything
aren't
state
speeding.
road, right? So,
Oh. Yeah, no.
I mean, we can look at it and then I can get back to them.
I didn't want to start a 5-minute discussion.
No, it's all right. Anytime PennDOT comes up in a conversation, it just goes nowhere. That's the problem.
I think at one point we had talked about putting a stop sign in
Hmm?
here or East
Wait, there was
Fairwood.
something else.
I mean, just in conversation. It was never really planned, but
I think when we first came on, you put officers back and forth across the walkway out here. There
Oh,
was
yeah.
and more, in any way we can do that again, because that's the concern, is there's kids walking back and forth. And people come flying through here,
someone's gonna get hit.
Yeah, there's a grant, for that. We didn't sign up for it this time around. There's different times of the year that you offer it. Usually it's, I think, early spring, we do it. So when that comes around again, we'll see if we can get some officers out there. It's kind of a tricky thing too, because people actually have to be in the crosswalk. You know, for us to stop somebody who just goes through the crosswalk, so. In line of sight, and they have to, you know, they have to be in the crosswalk at a certain distance, it's a difficult one. But with the speed studies too, that's another thing is taken into consideration with accidents. And we don't have very many accidents at any on Park Avenue.
No, it's just the road.
Well, we have a lot of those all over.
Just the line.
So that's, you know.
If there's no other public comment? All right, under announcements, the next meeting of the supervisor will take place on November 6th at 7 p.m. This meeting and the agenda for the next meeting, this meeting will be online within 48 hours. And our next meeting will have the agenda placed to the township website for the meeting date. There's nothing else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guys.